All right, I think we're live. Yep, we're live.
Okay.
So we're just getting started with our Wise Warrior conversations. I have Diane, and Diane, can you share your last name? How do you say, how do you,
Inamika.
Inamika.
Yeah.
Very beautiful. So you and I got connected through a woman's business group. We had a great conversation last week. You know, and really in alignment with like kind of the revolutionary energy that is starting to happen in the world, and kind of how astrology is kind of pointing to hints that this stuff is coming, and then like what all of that means for our business. So, with that being said, can you share with everyone a little bit about yourself?
All right. Thank you for having me. I'm excited for this conversation. So, first and foremost, I have been a lover of astrology for so many years. So, I am an astrologer, I'm a community builder, as in I help people build their Facebook presence actually using astrology as a foundation. And
Wow.
then also in my group, I help people promote themselves with master classes and workshops. So this is what I do. And I've realized that using astrology as a foundation, it has really helped me actually go more within.
Hmm.
Like the past, I would say it's been my whole life, but maybe the past year, especially, there have been so many kind of chaotic things happening, like worldwide, but then also in my own personal life. So I realized it's a great time to really go more within because I didn't know what was going on out there.
Hmm.
And it's really helped. It's really helped with just finding out about myself and then also helping other people in that way with their chart. So yeah, that's what I do.
I love that. Um, and I know like my friend Cam shared a video the other day from another astrologer and talking about how um, Uranus is moving into Taurus, and like the last time that they had this particular conjunction, that was when Pearl Harbor happened. And even I think, further back, like even the Revolutionary War kind of happened in a similar kind of energetic alignment. Um,
Wow.
and the woman was saying that this the Uranus conjunction with Taurus is or maybe that it's more the energy of Uranus is that it's about the unexpected.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
like, and I think that kind of is in alignment with kind of that revolutionary energy that has been ramping up for a few years. And it's not like necessarily like we're going to go out and fight a revolutionary war, but it's like the internal revolution, and the desire to change the systems that have been in place so long, and stand up something new in its place.
Yeah. I'm
So
so excited to be a part of it. I'm so interested to see what the whole world is going to look like in the next 10, 20, 30 years. Like, are we even going to look like humans anymore? I'm very interested.
yeah. And I mean, I think a lot of that is even going to depend on how um, what we decide.
Yeah.
Because I think for so long we've been our creative energies as humans have been kind of manipulated and controlled by a hidden force that has been running our governments, our medias, our schools, and this is like it's not just an American thing; it's a worldwide thing. And so we've been creating chaos because our nervous systems are all wonky. We've been at some kind of war for 5,000 years and probably a lot longer than that. Um, and so, like, we're in that chaos, and that's what we know. And so, through the drips of fear and manipulation, we continue to create that. And I think it's so important to do that healing work, to go in, to
Um,
change things, to heal things, and choose differently.
honestly, like And also, I will add on to that and say that for me, the world just started making more sense that way.
Mm,
Like it's like I think I had a period of time trying to like look without. It's almost like you're looking at physical things around you, hoping for things to make sense. Even some of the systems in place we have right now literally make no sense. So it's like this makes no sense.
yeah.
So it's like if you look at something like astrology, or if you look at patterns from the past, and if you can see how the patterns are like weaving in with what's going on right now, not that everything makes complete sense, but patterns for me make things make sense. If I can see that, oh, like for example, like I remember I read something about how the year of 2020, the vid,
Mhm.
like what happened that year. Apparently, 100 years prior in 1920, was it the Spanish flu or some
Yep.
epidemic that hit like that? And I was like, okay, that's an example of patterns. Like I know it's not just every 100 years. Like things happen even in 6 month periods, like the eclipses. But the patterns help things make sense because the
Right.
structure is kind of dope in my eyes.
Right. And I think once you see the pattern, you can choose things differently. Like I remember I was somewhere in my 20s, and I had this friend who did I forget what if he did a palm reading, and he did like my Chinese astrology kind of thing for the year. And it was like a lot of, it's going to be a hard year. All these things are going to happen, and but there's a back door, like the whatever approach you're going to be trying isn't going to work, but it's finding that like alternative route to get to where you want to go. And it was like I lost my job that year. And like all these, and it was like try to do all the things to find new work, and pay my bills, and stuff. And funny, it's happening again now, but it's that those patterns. But it was like, part of me was like, oh, I wish I didn't know this. But then, on the other side of like knowing that it's like finding that alternate route around things. So even like as the chaos is happening, like learning how to stay um, controlled and calm, and have your system, like your friends and your systems in place to like help each other through all this. Like we can choose differently, or knowing that okay, things unexpected things are going to happen, and it has nothing to do with us. Like there's so much, like once you see the pattern, you can start to release the energy of it.
Yeah, that's where the freedom is. That's where the freedom is because you're like, that's just a pattern.
Yeah.
F you, but also that's just a pattern.
Yes, definitely the fu.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're not going to fall for it this time.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, actually, I have a question for you in regards to uh Chinese astrology, actually. I want to know what year you are because I've heard that this year is the year of the snake and it's going to be us shedding our skin. But like in Chinese astrology, there are like families, like every sign is like part of like a three animal family, like the tribe. So I
Yep.
wanted to know what sign you are.
So I'm a wood tiger. So I was born in 74.
The tiger, okay. Just thinking of how like tigers like, I mean, not exactly like lions, but just like how they walk. That was just
Yeah.
the first thing I
Yeah.
thought. Okay. Um, I don't know about like how all the animals are in the year. I just know like this year, like for me, like it's the year of the snake, so I'm part of the snake family. Like it's the ox, the rooster, and the snake. So I was told this is gonna be a good year, and I was like, that's great news because last year kicked my ass, and I'm ready for things to be easier,
Yes.
if possible.
Yes. And it's like how do we create it? And my friend Chris was asking like, kind of what that back door meant when it comes to like the patterns. And it's, it is about saying, okay, this is what my mind is telling me to do. This is what like logic might tell me to do. But it's like there's an alternate route to get to the same point. So it's, maybe you think, okay, I'm going to apply, when it comes to jobs, I'm applying for jobs, I'm applying for jobs, I'm doing the job sites, but it's maybe like you actually need to talk to people and network, and it's through networking, which might be out of your comfort zone, is, you know, that alternate path. Or maybe it might be like starting your own business. Like it's finding that whatever is that alternate route. And I don't know if you have any thoughts, you know, on with your experience of dealing with patterns.
In regards to work, I will say that I would, or anything in general, okay. I will actually start with work though, because I realized something I did for a while is I tried to do the traditional thing. I really did. Like when I was in the States, I was applying for work, the same kinds of jobs, like all the office administrative work. And it's really funny because years later, when I looked at my chart, I was like, what am I even doing? Like applying for 9 to 5 jobs. Like literally, my chart is like screaming, do your own thing. Like that's what you should do. And I did not realize it at the time, but I was really wasting energy,
Mm-hmm.
wasting a lot of energy, even like in human design, like the thing with my profile, like maybe getting work or connections through other people. I started experimenting with that, and I'm like, it comes so much easier than me just kind of walking into a dark room that I will describe as the job application process. You don't know who's on the other side. And sometimes there's no one on the other side, I'm sure, and
Yeah.
just never getting calls back. Like that was a pattern for me that took a while to break, but I'm glad I did. And even just working with astrology has helped me see patterns in my life. Like, you know, in astrological charts, there's the yearly chart, the solar return chart. Um, and it activates on your birthday. So, like from your birthday this year to your birthday next year, this is the energy and like the happenings that you can expect. And last year, it's funny, I looked at my chart and I forgot like what placements, but I was looking at it like, yeah, and no wonder my year was upside down. Like, how did I not catch that?
Mm-hmm.
So, in dealing with patterns, yeah, looking at it astrologically, feeling it even within yourself, and applying it to the outside world, and knowing that you don't have to get lost in it, but awareness helps a lot.
Yep. And even like the day-to-day transits, like kind of like I get lost a little bit in that of like that feels a little too overwhelming. But I think like when you're in the thick of something, like what are the transits, what things are being activated within me that like I can either harness that energy to do something differently, or even to know like, oh, like I need to rest today. It's like it's not a day or a time to like go forward. Like Mercury retrograde is happening now. So like there's communication issues. There's like you shouldn't say yes to any contracts or anything at this point until Mercury retrograde is done. And it's like I always find it amusing. Like I think the day before it started, a friend of mine was like, you know, I'm having problems with this and this. She's like, is Mercury retrograde, you know, in effect? And I'm like, well, yeah, tomorrow, officially. And I remember like one year, like being at the grocery store and like they're having all these, you know, issues with their cash registers. And I'm like, yeah, retrograde.
Yeah. Yes. And it really comes through like that. Like even over the weekend, I was meeting up with a recent friend I've made, and there was like a delay on both of our ends. And I thought it was so funny because I'm like, I am late sometimes, I will admit, but the lateness that happened to both of us that day, we just could not get it moving. But I
Oh,
was like, I'm sure that's part of the retrograde. Like my technology was kind of messing up earlier today, and I'm like, we're just here for the ride. Whatever happens, happens. It's fine.
yeah. Um, so like the revolution, like I know for, you know, for myself, like one of the things that I am working on is, you know, the corporate leadership or even just leadership in general. Like, you know, there's that energy of like push, 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 go, 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 and like burn people out instead of like putting the focus on people first, because it's your people that, you know, grow your business. You know, if you're fostering the people that you work with, you know, they grow and they become innovative and they, you know, can transform your business. Because like, you know, business goes through patterns and it goes through highs and lows. And if like in those lows you aren't infusing creativity into your people, like your business is gonna suffer, and it's going to, like, it may fail because you're not focused on the people, and you're discarding them. And so, like, that's part of what I'm driven to do, is like, how do we do leadership differently? How do we foster our people? How do we use our gifts? Like, because male or female, we're all intuitive, we're all empathic. We all have some kind of clear gift. Whether we hear things, we see things, we know things, like, we all have them. And so, like, using those gifts to actually help our team thrive is so
Yeah.
important. And so, like, teaching people how to do that. And I know when we were talking last week, it's, the revolutions are starting to happen everywhere. People are really starting to question more
Yeah.
of the narratives.
People
And
are
so, like, astrologically, or even from personal experience, like, how do you view the revolutions that are coming?
a while ago, wasn't there something that said something like the revolution will be televised? Was that like an era of time, or like where was that from?
I don't know, but I remember hearing that quote. And I guess,
Um,
the other thing is, like, that the war or the revolution, it's that spiritual war,
yeah.
versus, like, combat, hand to hand. Not that the combat isn't happening, but, like, there's also that spiritual side of what are we choosing.
Uh, yeah, I can speak on this for myself and say that it's what I heard or read from another astrologer I follow. She said that it was definitely not going to be the same kind of revolution it was in, was it 1770 something, when it was the Revolutionary War and all the blood was shed. I watched a TikTok that pointed to the patterns of the last time Pluto was in the sign of Aquarius. That was the kind of thing that was happening, like that kind of bloodshed, that kind of revolution. And then an astrologer I follow said at this point in time, it's not going to be like that, but we should be preparing ourselves because spiritual warfare, you don't really know what's going to be thrown your way. It's things like this is a good time to know yourself. Like when they say know thyself, like know who you are, know what your strengths are, your challenges are, because it's kind of around you in some ways every day. It can be things that you watch on TV or even on the internet, like is everything real? Do you need to believe all these things? Do you need to follow this doctrine? Like, first, you need to know yourself. Like, what do you stand for? What do you have issues with? And who are you? So I
Yeah.
think that's a big part of the revolution. It's going to be pointing us back to ourselves. Like, who are you? If you're using astrology, if you're using human design, numerology, even if you're not using a system and you're just tuning more within, who are you? That's what I think is going to be a big part of this revolution.
Yeah. And that's why, like, I love the gene keys, because, like, the Venus sequence is our pattern of wounding from, like, what we're bringing into this lifetime, what we've been programmed, from our parents in the womb. So, like, their
Yeah.
energy or anybody that was around them. And then, like, the three stages, from birth to age 21. And like, when you see that pattern, like, for myself, like, when I saw it, I was like, holy fuck, I do that, and then I do that, and then I do that, and then I do that. And it was like, real. And, like, everybody that I've taken through that, they're like, oh yeah, I do that, and I do that. And it's like, it's the places where, like, from the shadow side, where we're trying to have our needs met, we're trying to stay safe, but, like, especially as we reach adulthood, those patterns, the shadow aspect of them, they don't serve us. They keep us looping in the pattern. They keep us looping in self-sabotage. And until you start to see that, and then, like, what's the gift that's behind it? What am I really here to do? How am I really here to help not only myself but others? And then,
Yeah.
like, that unlocks your vocation, and, like, the energy of what you're here to do in the world.
Yeah.
And then that
You did.
unlocks how you make money. And it's like, all these things are really tied together. And the more you know yourself, and from an energetic perspective, because regardless of what we do for a living,
Mhm.
it's all energetics.
Yeah. At the end of the day, yeah. And even like following your own energetic system is the path of least resistance.
Mhm.
Like in my chart, and I might be also somewhat biased because I mean it's my chart and I have looked at it, but I really have looked at it and I'm like, I don't think with the signs I have in my chart that I'm someone who's maybe made for like something like deep deep studies like chemistry or things like this. I think in my chart, and also I relate it with my life because you take it from your chart and like what you see there, but you also relate it to your lived experiences. And I've just seen myself in different areas of my life and the things that are always there. And it's something around people and a lot of groups in my life. I've been in so many different groups. So for me, I'm like, okay, that's probably an energetic signature. It kind of reminds me of like, like any superhero, like the superheroes and the powers they have. Like, what's your power? Like,
Yeah.
what are you really good at? Maybe it'll be good to know your kryptonite as well. So you can like, work on that and have that not be so much of a maybe something that holds you back. But
Right.
you're right, it's all energy at the end of the day. And even the study of energy, like for example, if you look at systems like human design and astrology, maybe some people will say that's not true. But honestly, if you're looking at things like astronomy and even other kinds of sciences, is that, or even like studying energy in it of itself, like the formula E equals MC squared, like that's studying energy in that way. And then using astrology and human design and other metaphysical systems is studying energy this way. So it's all studying energy. So you should know your own energetic signature. It's not going to hurt you.
And like, through quantum physics, like they're finding that so many of the things that are considered woo woo are actually based on real scientific fact.
Ooh.
So it's this concept that it's not based on science. Like maybe like there are some things where like you can kind of be like but like the things, especially the things like astrology, and energetic healing, those systems are like 5,000 plus years old.
Yeah.
So like they're not going away, so they have to hold some kind of merit. And I think, like in human design, they say a lot of times when like people are in resistance to something that's in their chart, there's conditioning that like, oh, you should be like this. And so that, they've been programmed from childhood that like I'm supposed to be like this. And so like they can't resonate with who they really are until they start to really sit with it and be in that contemplation. And I'm going to share a couple comments from my friend Cam. So he's saying we're in a complete reset, end of Yuga cycle. Age of Pisces is closing out. Aquarius tech era ushering in. So how will this even look? And then he said paradigm shifting has been his latest study around how we are collectively shifting together, and make shifting this new reality in the most beneficial ways. So I don't know if you have any
Mm.
thoughts around that from your experience.
So Aquarius as a sign represents the collective. So I can just imagine the age we're going into is going to be an expansion of the collective and things changing in that way. Like if the age of Pisces might have been more about maybe like religion, certain kinds of beliefs and structures maybe being in place around that. I think the age of Aquarius is going to be how can we as people structure ourselves so we can be free? Because I
Mm.
also think of Aquarius as since it's ruled by Uranus, it relates to things that are just non-traditional. So like for example, like I'm trying to think of something like very, very, very traditional. Like the idea that everyone would be married at the age of 30 and have two kids, white picket fence. In the age of Aquarius, that belief is probably gonna just see itself out. I mean, it already kind of has. Like I know so many people that's not the life. And that is okay and that is the era that we're in. So I think it's going to be this huge change of like maybe even what it is to be human, the
Mm.
things like our belief systems, how we operate and freedom in that way. So I am excited. Now,
Yeah.
how is it going to play out, I have no clue. But
I hope it's even like, you know, especially in the transition time, the awakening to who we truly are. Because I think, you know, like that's one of the things I hear from a lot of people of like, you know, I know I have a purpose and a mission, but I don't know what it is, and I don't know what I'm here to do, and I don't know who I am. And I think there has been such a repression of the truth of who we are, you know, plus this, you know, these confinements of, you know, you're only supposed to be, you know, this, you're only human, you're only this name. And it's like, you know, we are infinite possibilities, we are creative manifesting energy, you know, that are here to have an experience. And so hopefully starting to wake up to the truth of who we are. You know, I had a friend this morning, kind of asked me like, you know, he's like, you know, you're not your job, you're not this, like, who are you? And I'm like, I'm a multidimensional being. I'm here to change the world. And he was like, that's a great answer.
yeah, yeah, yes, it's true. We all are in our own special ways. Like, I wish it was something that I mean, I'm sure this is part of just the process, but I do wish it was something that people really could see themselves more in that way. Like, you're not just your job. It's just something you do. Like, outside of like your job, like who are you? What do you enjoy? Like, what brings you joy? You know, your interests, like your strengths, like that's not only in your job, like that's just literally what you do for money. There are some people who are successful in that, like, and maybe if we all followed our own energy, it would be like this for all of us. They're successful in doing what their energy kind of foretells, if that makes any sense. Like, I don't remember what celebrity I was looking up their chart some time ago, but it was, oh, this wasn't a celebrity I was looking up, but it was someone doing Taylor Swift's human design chart. Yeah. And it was saying that in her chart that I don't know if it's certain channels or certain gates, but it's something about impact and being able to reach a lot of people worldwide. And in my head, I'm like, if you have that kind of energy, then it's just easy. Like you don't have to like fight for it. Like you're just in the right places and you're just doing what you love to do and boom. So like what if we just all followed our own energy? Like how much more enjoyable would life be?
Yeah, and I think you know, I'm not a parent, but you know, I would think as a parent, like waking up to like the truth of who we are, what we're here to do, what really lights us up, and you know, then looking at your own kids' chart and understanding them, understanding their full potential, and understanding like, you know, this is where their shadows can be, and how do I help them like be more in the gift of who they are. Because imagine if like 90% of the world, or even like 51%, you know, I know like in the law of one, like you have to be 51%, you know, in either on the path of oneness or the path of darkness to, you know, to have that collective shift. And so like imagine if we were raising kids to understand their full potential and not what we think they should be, not what we think that they should do, but like these are the energies we need to you need to cultivate in yourself, because this is who you are.
Yeah,
Like I
yes.
think the world would shift completely, because we would
Yeah.
be, you know, like this is how, like, you're an emotional authority, you're a sacral authority, you're a what's the other one? The splenic. So like
Oh
your
yeah.
intuitive hits, like, you know, or you have to mentally process things, like knowing like this is like before you make any major life decisions, like check in with your body, check in with this. Is it the right thing? And even like,
Yeah.
you know, as, like for manifesting generators, knowing that you have to go through that cycle twice.
Yeah.
You know, 'cause, you
Yeah.
know, the first initial yes, you know, and then like right before it's like, no, I really don't want to do that. Or like, yeah, I really still don't want to do that. And like listening to that and making those decisions, like imagine how different the world would be.
Uh, wow. And I really don't even think it's a utopia either. I'm like, this is just what it is. Like, we're just not living in tune, I guess, with nature and energy that way. And actually, speaking of this, I want to talk about the moon because I work with the moon and I've realized that for me, it is the foundation of our astrological charts. And you can see so much with the moon. Like, you can see your lineage, you can see your mom's side of the family, your family in general, your home life, and just foundationally you. And in looking at that, and I had a talk with a woman I recently met on Friday, and we're talking about the moon and how really in our world, and maybe this is part of it, because we're so much out of tune with nature. And if you relate like how things are foundationally with the feminine has to exist, the
Mm.
masculine has to exist in its own way. And it's not about genders, but it's like if the feminine needs to be in flow, the feminine needs to be receptive, but it also needs to be allowed, and it's not. But we're just like, a lot of our energy is just like in the masculine, what we need to do, but we're not doing things in aligned ways. Like, it's like, well, no wonder things are in chaos. Like, where are we even?
Yeah.
We're not existing in it.
Yeah. And even with the masculine of like, you know, being so into this trauma warring thing without processing the emotions, without like given permission of like it's okay to cry, it's okay to like be upset, and like you will be held and nurtured by the feminine because it's an equal thing. It's a like we show up as the gift of who we are, and we hold space for each other, and we help each other in whatever ways. And it is like we have, you know, each human has both like if you're a female, like you're going to have more of the feminine energy, even if you have more of a slightly more masculine, but you also hold the masculine energy. And you know, males hold, you know, a stronger masculine energy, you know, and some may have a little bit more feminine, but it's like you still have those. So like being able in partnership to like, you know, what energy do I need to be today to, you know, support my family? You know, is my, you know, husband sick? Is my partner sick? Is my kid sick? Do I have to show up differently, you know, to help them heal? Or even to like, you know, I remember reading a book about, you know, Lemurian times and how like it was the feminine that would kind of sit with the energy of the earth and then tell the men, you need to go fish here. Like the fish are going to be good here. And so like they would listen to that, the intuition of the feminine tribe, and in order to like provide for the community.
Wow, that is amazing. And
Yeah,
also, it reminds you that we need both.
exactly.
Like, it's not like literally if the feminine is like, hey, you should probably go here, and then they go there, like, that's perfect teamwork. Like, why are we suffering so much?
Right. And like the whole like there's great things about feminism, but it's at the same time, it's at the expense of the masculine, and the masculine being in its toxicity is at the expense of the feminine. And it's like if we again, if we heal that trauma,
Yeah.
we would be in such a different place, and we'd be there to protect each other, to help each other, to grow together. um you know, and that all goes back to the energetics, the patterns, and listening to those things.
Yeah, 100%. Man, this conversation is so awesome. Yes. Oh, this also made me because this is what I think of when I think of the feminine, and then I also think of the moon. It's like this need to really go within. Like, that is the part of going within that I've been resonating with a lot. Like, working with the moon, it's like going within and also knowing that things are not exactly happening the way you think or in your own version of timing. Like, for example, like the lunar eclipse that was on Friday, I did not do much, to be honest. I was really trying to get myself moving. And it's funny because I didn't really think of it till later on in the weekend, like, why was I trying to do so much the past few days? Like, just also we're in Mercury retrograde, like this kind of forcing thing, this is not the time for it. And that's another thing to be aware of, like the timing of things, because that matters too. But
Yeah.
you get here by going within and feeling things and being patient. And that is really not easy.
Yeah.
Like I kind of struggle with it, but it's like a good foundation to start in because that's how you get to know yourself more anyways.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that. So I'm going to share some things from Cam. So he said 3D, 4D, 5D. Many people at different levels of the process require reviewing themselves. So finding those on our frequency and sharing ideas, creativity, and endeavors. And then he said humanity's needs will become more diverse and unique. This opens up a huge opportunity to expand and learn our evolution of consciousness. And he said this eclipse has definitely revealed the quantum 4D subconscious aspects of the collective. More to come as much must be cleared for renewal. So
Mm, that's
and I
true with oh sorry, go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, what it's been said about eclipse season, the lunar eclipse, is things are not clear at first. Like, it's like the beginning. I don't know if it's the beginning few days, but just any time around the eclipse, like maybe days leading up and days afterwards and weeks, things start off being kind of blurry. So I was watching a video saying it's not the maybe it's not the best time to manifest things because you don't really know what's going on. It's like imagine being in just kind of maybe it's a soft and gentle whirlwind, but it's still a whirlwind because you can't see everything. But things will be clearing themselves and also revealing themselves. And the fact that it was in the sign of Virgo, it's making me think of work and like work systems because I relate that with Virgo and even things like health maybe like on the other side of this or in the next few and upcoming weeks. Now I feel like I'm kind of going into prediction territory, but I do like doing that with moon cycles. Like maybe in regards to health, our physical body, work, women as well. Like maybe it could even be like different health laws coming out in regards to women, something with women because Virgo is the sign of it is a woman. So I'm really interested to see what's going to be happening in the next 6 months because eclipse cycles, it kind of lasts for 6 months, or at least it plays out in 6 months. So yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be very interesting.
And what is your take on so I know my friend Cam looks a lot also at the north and south node. And like the south node being what we came in to kind of learn and finish from our previous lifetime, and the north node being like what we're moving into. So like how do
Yeah.
you think like all like between the sun sign, the moon sign, and then the north and south node, like how do you feel like all those things line up to help somebody understand, like especially moving forward, like how would you use that information?
I think right now, definitely paying attention to the nodes, especially because they stay in the same sign for is it like a year and a half, something like that? So it's like the year and a half period, like those are themes that are playing out. And with, I believe it's the North Node now being in Pisces and the South Node is in Virgo. I hope I'm not like mixing those up. But with the North, with the North Node being in the sign of Pisces, that actually it's interesting because Pisces is the last sign. So it can be looked at as very ancient, like it's old, like it's been related to Jesus. So it has a lot of wisdom and information that comes with it. But then also it's a water sign. And I was reading another astrologer's take on it. And she was also saying that maybe now uh, interesting marine life might be coming out.
Mm.
Things in the water that we didn't know, period, might be coming out. And weird things happening in the sky like, you know how they say as above, so below? Like, I've read a few times about how the sky is also water. Like,
The splitting
maybe
of
it's not
the
far.
waters. In
Yeah.
the splitting of the waters.
Yes. So, with that, like holding that in mind, like maybe even just different things will be coming out about water. Maybe what water really is could also be more water natural disasters because Pisces is a water sign.
Yeah.
So to just be aware of all these things,
Yeah.
and then with the south. Oh, sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
you get well, yeah. I'll do this because it's kind of related to the North Node. So, Cam said we're learning as a collective where we have been too rigid in our ways. So, like water is also like emotion. So, like what is the deeper hidden emotions within us that are going to be coming out, and even like Dr. Is it what's his name? Motto, he's the one that did the experiments of like the emotions and water and like what you program it to,
Ooh.
like comes out in like crystal, like the crystalline patterns within the water, and we're what 70% water.
Wow.
So like, all that stuff, like the collective energy that we've been cultivating for the past probably at least 5,000 years, again possibly longer, like that stuff is going to be coming to the surface, which is again kind of tied to that the revolutionary process and the like who are we really.
Oh shit. We are not going to look the same in a few years. Maybe even eternally. Maybe we're getting our superpowers. I watched a video that said maybe now's the beginning of us getting our superpowers. I hope so.
Yeah. And Cam says we will learn what our true intelligence is once all the old falls away.
Ah, yeah. Wow. This is exciting. I can talk about this forever.
And so Virgo in the South Node, like what does that mean?
So Virgo in the South Node. So Virgo relates to things that we do every day, like everyday like daily routine. So that's Virgo. Daily routines. Also, it's women. Also, it's I kind of relate it with because it's an earth sign and even the time of the year, like I mean, at least in like the northern hemisphere, how it relates to fall. So I kind of think of Virgo as the material harvest, like when it deals with maybe like crops and plants and things like this. So I'm thinking that maybe the South Node is going to be playing out with because even in my head, it's not just about the future or the past, it's about these themes in general because astrology and things in general, they deal with its opposite. So it's
Mm.
like if we're going to be thinking about the Pisces themes, that in Virgo, maybe things about women, maybe even our everyday routines like work structures, systems changing, maybe even plants, crop life, herbs, because you see that in Virgo as well. And like I said, how it's going to play out, I have no idea. But just with these themes heavily being in place until I believe it's like the middle of I don't think it's the middle of next year. I think it's like February, March, or April of next year is when the nodes will change again. So
Yeah.
for the next year-ish, seeing how it's going to play out in these areas. Yes.
And speaking of patterns, like with so Uranus conjunct with Taurus being, the expect the unexpected, and Virgo being about um the the routine and the because like I'm a Virgo, that's my sun sign. Like I have my little routines and and stuff, and like I could be a lot more flexible now than I probably could as a kid, but like like allowing those things to be shaken up, because that's when, like, when you let go of that and let the unexpected happen, then it's like you meet new people, you have new experiences, and it changes your life. Where, like, if you had tried to stay to that the rigidity of it, like you lose so much potential. And Cam says, as I personally am Virgo South Node, I have to learn to let go of perfectionism.
Mm.
So,
Yeah. But even with that being maybe a challenge of Virgo, it's also such like an efficient sign. There's
mhm.
so much efficiency when I think of Virgo because it is the systems, it is the everyday things,
And
the
we're
things that are holding
practical.
the practical. Yes. Yes. So perfectionism is not the only thing there. There's so many like positive things with Virgo for sure.
Yep.
I
Um,
was gonna
yeah. Go ahead.
it was just, I was thinking of Uranus in the sign of Taurus. And Taurus is a sign of money. And when did Uranus go into Taurus? Is this recent?
I think it's happening. It's beginning to happen. So it might be. And Cam can correct me if I misquote. I think it's going to be maybe happening Mayish time frame. So it's like kind of preparing for what's going to be happening. Um,
Oh, that's interesting. Maybe since Uranus is like things happening quickly and unexpectedly, but I also look at Uranus as since it does rule Aquarius and it's kind of like future oriented, I look at it as very like intelligent also. And in the sign of Taurus, and that deals with like money and values, maybe there'll be a shift in how we use money. Maybe it'll be a quick shift. And also if there's technology there, maybe money will take a new form. Maybe it won't be paper anymore. Maybe we'll be completely paperless. That's kind of interesting to think about, but we could be going there. That's
yeah.
interesting.
I have like mixed feelings about that because it's like if we're reliant on all electronic forms of money, as soon as like they take any electronic systems down or we have storms and I mean we already face that like if you don't have money, cash money to pay for something like you can't leave with anything. And so like to me like there's a level of if we allow our governments and everything to continue to be really negative like they have been, they can control and manipulate us more. So I'm hoping it's more of a shift and Cam had said Taurus is ruled by Venus, so it's about love and the all that. So like finding more nurturing, loving ways to do money. And my friend Deborah says she's a Scorpio with Libra rising. I've been void of any energy. Any suggestions?
She's a Scorpio with Libra rising. What's her moon?
Um, Cam asked her if it's Libra ascendant. And Deborah, I don't know if you know your moon. If you want to post that in the comments. So,
Hmm.
a minute.
Yeah, that'll be interesting because I realized when I hear people's big three, I've started to start with the moon. I used to start with the ascendant, but there's so much in the moon, especially like these cycles, these lunar cycles. I don't know if it was you I talked about this with, but how even the calendar, how it used to be like 13 months for the 13 full moons, and then it changed to the what we traditionally, I mean, I guess it's not even traditionally, but what we have now, like the 12-month calendar. But really, the cycles are still the 13 moons, like even like the menstrual cycle being every 28 days, like these particular moon cycles, I think there's so much in the moon.
Yeah.
So I
And
love her moon.
and we didn't have that conversation, but I know I read something once where it was like um if we did the 13 months, it would like the numbering alignment would be the same every month, would be like Monday would be the first and whatever. Um and so like you would really see the patterns because it would literally play out same day, like the first of every month, like you know and I think that's where like a lot of stuff has been done, like to our language, to our astrology, to locations of sacred sites. And so it's this and I'm losing my train of thought. So but like we would actually be able so like there's been the manipulation to like distort the patterns. And it's like until you start to make those shifts and like we really have to sit and look at the patterns and look at all of the information from astrology to numerology to human design to gene keys to really see, you know, what are our patterns, what are those
Yeah.
things that are hidden. And Deborah gave her birthday. I don't know if you have a quick chart where you can run her.
Sure, let me pull this up. Okay, this is an interesting. I was not expecting this. Okay.
Um,
Okay, what is her birthday?
November 13th, 1962. Um, and
15th November 1962. Okay. Does she have like her time or birth city or it's okay if she doesn't.
I'm gonna see if I have her information. I know I ran her stuff once. I can't remember where I ran it.
Ooh, it's exciting.
Uh,
Let's get into
so, Deborah, if you're still listening, a birth time is 4:12 a.m.
it.
And then the location, Deborah, Kansas City, Missouri.
Kansas City. Okay. So I don't know if she uses Placidus, but I use whole sign. So if she's used to her planets being in one house, with whole sign, it's probably going to be in another house. So just like as a heads up. Okay, November 13th, 1962, 4:12 a.m.
Yep.
Kansas City. All right, let's see what's going on with your planet. Let's
And
go
she's
all the
looking
way.
for like her energy is in a lull, or she's void of energy. So any suggestions?
Hmm. Okay, so you're born under a full moon. Wow. Anytime I see that in someone's chart, it seems to be like I don't know if I want to say this here. It might be kind of personal, so I will not. But this part I will say is that there is, at least in your personality, there is like a split between the masculine and the feminine. Like you really have to hold space for both. Of course, you can say that's everyone because we all have that in us, but astrology is also like the energetic themes in our lives because the sun is a masculine and the moon is the feminine and they're in opposition when there's a full moon.
And
um
like I said, go ahead and say it.
so it can mean a few things. It can mean in your family that maybe your mother and your father really didn't get along. It can mean there's a lot of arguments there. It can mean divorce. Just because also in our lives, when we're growing up, that's the masculine and feminine just right there. Masculine's your father, feminine's your mother. So that's the way it can play out. Um, that was the main thing I was going to say. And even if not, they could also just be very different people. Like they
Hmm.
can be polar opposites. Like this person is into like, I don't know, like skiing and fishing, and this person would never touch that with like a 100-foot pole. Like they're just different in their personalities and their interests, like opposites. That's another way it can manifest. But okay. Oh, okay. So you have your ascendant in Libra and your sun in Scorpio and your moon in Gemini. And right now we are going into Aries season. We are going into Aries season and Libra and Aries are opposites. So there's conflict. The thing about that is that it tends to mean though with the opposition that you need to pay attention to the opposite signs like attributes and you having your Libra ascendant could mean that um, Libras have to be careful of people pleasing because it's an air sign and also it's ruled by Venus. So it loves things to be harmonious and sweet, but that's not because of the opposite sign of Aries, to be able to take that kind of energy and balance it in yourself. Because without the attributes of Aries, you're going to try and please everyone, make them happy. It's an air sign. Sometimes Libra doesn't speak up for itself, believes in everything being sweet. That's like a life lesson for Libra and some other signs as well. So that could be part of it, though, that your oppositional energy is coming up. Having your moon in a sign of Gemini in relation to Aries or Pisces season, I'm not making any correlations with that right now. It could be something that I would see if I looked in like your solar return chart, like your yearly chart, and
And Cam said Scorpio focuses on what's beneath the surface.
yeah, Scorpio will go to the depths of hell to get some answers.
That's Deborah.
The depth, they're really good researchers and investigators, though, and also like the hidden things like death, but also rebirth and transcendence and healing. Like Scorpio deals with a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, Scorpio deals with a lot. So I hope that helps somewhat. I don't have the correlation with your moon and Gemini and uh Pisces season or Aries
Well,
season, but if I ever looked up,
like both like the Pisces and the Gemini have like that dual, like the Gemini being the twins and the Pisces being the two fish, like having like all these different energies, like during this eclipse season, during this Mercury retrograde, like I'm sure it's like, you know, it's at one instance like all this energy, and sometimes when there's all that energy, it's like I don't have the energy.
yeah,
Get burnt out on all the possibilities and the two sides of the self.
yeah,
So
it's true, yeah. But also with having your Scorpio sun in the but in Pisces season, I'm going to say maybe I would see more like if I looked at like your solar return chart, like your yearly chart to see what's going on. It's in my head, I'm not making too many other connections like besides what we just said. But regardless, with oppositional energy, advice I give is to take it easy because it literally feels like your opposite energy is like coming for you. Like maybe like seems like how can you be more independent? Like how can you stand up for yourself more? How can you clear certain people out of your life? That can be energy sucking, I've realized. I have Libra in my chart. I'm also slightly getting ready for Aries season. Ready to fight somebody.
yeah. And so Deborah said, "Oh, OMG, ha ha ha," and then exactly she's been isolating. So
Yeah. Go within and get ready, girl.
and I think just in general with like everything that's happening planetary, like in the planetary cycles, the you know, the possibility of like the unexpected changes and stuff, like I think everybody in general, regardless of what any of your signs are, like we all just need to be prepared. We need to be
Yeah.
doing the healing work. Um
Yeah.
Deborah says thank you, and like I know it's getting late where you are. So kind of on that note, um, if somebody wanted to work with you, how would they find you?
Okay, so I do have my Facebook group. It's called Women in Business and Abundance for the ladies only. Sorry, guys. I have this Facebook group. My Facebook name is just Diane Inamika. Maybe I can like put it in the comments or somewhere after. And then I have my website if you want any kind of astrology reading. I do solar return charts like for the year. If you want to see the energy of you and someone else, I also do that kind of chart. I do birth charts, um, transit charts for like specific periods of time as well. I just love astrology. It's a lot. There's so much there. So
That's
yeah, I can put
and
my
how
website.
like on your website, like do you have things where it's like specifically you know, how to use your chart to help people with their businesses?
I don't have that on my website yet. I'm updating my website, but I can talk about that a little bit. So, how I use astrology to help people in their businesses is that we always start with the moon because the moon is the foundation. Like, what is your business? Why are you doing it? But then not just to talk about it in that way, it's to help you get more in tune with yourself, because when we understand ourselves more, then business tends to become more clear, because there's also trust, there's surrender, and there's faith. And you get this when you tune in with your moon sign. So that's where we start. And then the other planets, like Mars is like your action plan, and then Saturn is like the hard work you have to go through. So we use your whole astrological chart to help you build your business. Like, for example, if you're stuck right now, maybe it's something where you just need an energetic tweak, and then, or to look at something from another perspective, and we can see that in your chart. So that's that service that I don't have on my website yet, but I will.
Well, wonderful. If you can share all that information with me, I'll make sure that it's in the chat so that everybody can get access to you. And this has been a great conversation. I don't know if you have any like final words that you want to share.
Woo, man. I'm happy to be here with you in this revolution. Like, let's just get into ourselves. Let's learn more about ourselves and trust ourselves, and use it as strength, honestly, because the spiritual warfare is going to call for us to really trust ourselves. Because I think the part of the point is that we're going into territory we haven't been in before. So it's a great time to just go within, know yourself, and also maybe just more time by yourself as well, I think is good advice.
Yeah.
That tends to knowing yourself. So yeah, go within and let's get ready for this spiritual revolution.
Well, thank you so much. This was a great conversation, and I look forward to continuing our connection and growing it. And maybe again, like when you feel like maybe this, like the 6 months from now, when the next cycle of eclipses start to happen, we can get back on and like, all right, what's next at that point?
I would love that. This was awesome. You're a great host. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. And have a wonderful night. So you're in Thailand. So for anybody who wants to know.
Yeah,
So
it's 10:22 p.m. I'm in Vietnam, but it's the
okay.
same exact time zone. It's still 10:20 now 10:23.
Well, have a wonderful night, and thank you again. And we
All
will.
right. We'll see you soon. Bye bye. Thank you.